Coming up on the channel this time, I'm featuring a new group that until recently was unknown to me, but released a new album that sits comfortably in that celebrated supergroup category so popular in the 70s prog rock sphere. That's all coming up next with me, the album review guy. For 25 years now, the name of Leslie Mandoki has been associated with putting together a bunch of musicians rightly associated with the term supergroup. Now, a name that many may not be familiar with, he nonetheless deserves credit where it is due. Teaming up with skill chum and top arranger Laszlo Benke, they created Park Studios in Munich and began to create music under the name Red Rock Productions. This led to his musical aspirations being channeled into jazz rock, with the release of his earliest albums, People, and also Out of Time with the Time in 1993. People in the Room number 8 in 1997, before Soulmates became the first release as the Mandoki Soulmates band moniker. Now, this latest release is called A Memory of Our Future, and it's a 12-track 78-minute project that is literally teeming with that who's who of musical royalty. Uniquely, it's been recorded in analog, and most unusually, with the tracks recorded as live with all the musicians in the studio playing together. With Mandoki are the likes of Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, Al Di Meola, Mike Stern, Randy Brecker, Bill Evans, Till Bronner, Corey Henry, Nick Van Eede from Cutting Crew, Simon Phillips and Toby Carey from Rainbow, John Halliwell and Jesse C. Birnberg from Supertramp. Also in there is Leslie's daughter, Julia, amongst a host of other talented musicians who bring their own remarkable qualities and virtuosities to the album. The main feature is the blending of progressive rock, jazz fusion, and soul. It's a wonderful mixture. For example, the opening track, Blood in the Water, and this opens with that familiar sound of Ian Anderson's flute to start the album off really in familiar territory with this progressive piece, instantly likeable. Enigma of Reason is a more new world sound, perhaps in the style of Peter Gabriel, is full of a weave of varied and complex musical storylines. It's quite an epic at 10 minutes and delivers really a wonderful landscape of sound. The Wanderer is a slower, more controlled song that sounds a little like those ballads that perhaps Glenn Tilbrook used to pen for Squeeze back in the day, or more recently, the sort of song Mark Knopfler would record. It paints a descriptive picture of missing familiar surroundings and details the loneliness of a post-COVID traveller. It's a very nice piece indeed, this one. The Big Quit seems to represent the best of Mandoki's work on the album, bringing in a colourful set of lyrics with a plethora of musical expression in the most interesting of manners. It's well written, played and sung, and is a really strong contender for the best track on the album. Devil's Encyclopedia seems to be the one track that has met with perhaps the most favourable of reviews from all around. It features that welcome return of Ian Anderson again in something of a Blood in the Water Part 2. The hook is so catchy and seems to really fully justify exactly what an earworm track should sound like. It features some excellent drumming from Mandoki himself. The album title track starts with a beautiful trumpet and is a slower piece that focuses on past experiences. Both the acoustic guitar, saxophone and brass section in general make this a very pleasing track. The chorus is a little too simplistic, with the song title just being repeated. A small black mark in an otherwise enjoyable track, which Mandoki is quoted as saying, "Everything was written down, but nothing was arranged. Everything developed naturally." End quote. I Am Because You Are starts off in a gentle manner again with a Hammond organ, very much the distinctive sound to begin with, and I can hear the excellent John Halliwell and his musical contribution from a mile off. The vocals are really overdubbed to obtain quite a depth to them. It's a nice song again that neatly leads into My Share of You, which has some detailed keyboards included in it. The chorus gets a little bit confusing until you agree actually which side everyone is on in this broken relationship song. But the acoustic guitar is extremely pleasant and the vocal accompaniment is a great sound to add to the mix. Age of Thoughts is structured the same way as the title track, with the main theme introduced into the melting pot, really before becoming reinterpreted and developed into standalone sections within the song. The interplay between all the instruments is very refreshing, and this is a very nice piece indeed. Now, I do like Matchbook Racing, and this is a beautiful piece, balancing thoughtful words with continued musical inspiration that's been evident all through this wonderfully eclectic piece of music. It's really about boyish dreams of a better life, probably so different to those Mandoki grew up in, where simple pleasures like Matchbox cars, for example, seemed a million miles away to the children. An interesting song designed to demonstrate how to make the most of what you have without perhaps worrying too much about that other person. We Stay Loud has a lively start with some excellent keys, building up anticipation in the verse until the chorus just explodes. The musicianship is excellent, if the lyrics, again, somewhat a little confusing. The melting pot ends the album with some nice jazz-sounding wording, whose meaning seems unimportant as it acts really as an additional instrument of sound. It's a very nice end to the album. This one does have the feel of an elongated jam session, as this potential final sounds inspirations are brought to the table to be played out. Look, overall this is an interesting album blending the aforesaid prog, rock, jazz and fusion soundscapes within that framework of a well put together and produced piece of work. Some of the tracks are very good indeed. Some meander along a little without achieving perhaps full potential for me, but it is an album I would have no difficulties in putting on and just simply enjoying. The cast of characters involved are vastly experienced, and that shows, as does the control and respect Mandoki exercises to get this well-crafted work to a conclusion. Released on the 10th of May, let me know below your favourite tracks from this album. Whilst I personally like the opening track featuring Ian Anderson, the video on screen now is another from the maestro himself, in his capacity this time as leader of Death Row Tour. You are guaranteed to enjoy.